Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. We have a very exciting one here. Oh man, I was watching the NBA Finals and I was so excited to unbox this knife that I just paused it. It's on YouTube TV and it'll be waiting for me when I'm done here. But this is one I've been super excited about. It's what I really hoped for quite a while. Some of our good friends over at Demko knives. There it is. The Demko. Thanks for the swag, guys. FreeReign. But not just any Demko FreeReign. I don't know if it even says it on here. Oh, look at that. That's sealed now. That's interesting. I don't think that was before. There we go. This is not your standard AUS 10A made in Taiwan FreeReign. This is what we all as Demko fans had hoped for. Oh. Ooh. Yeah, really like what I'm seeing already. Magnacut, Demko USA. Ooh. Look at that beauty. Very, very nice. I'm such a big fan of this like massive Rambo style knife. I'm not such a big fan that I own like a million of them, but I do have a few. So here's the AUS 10. Wow, you can really immediately see the difference in the blade finish. Super interesting difference there. It's like a belt satin grind, and this is like a total stone wash. Wow, big difference there. So that's immediate. And then here's another AUS 10 in gray. I do like the belt satin grind, don't get me wrong. That's nice, but I think I like this more. The grind's also at a very different, it's a longer grind. I wonder how it feels behind the edge by comparison. It's a nice flat grind. Is this a flat grind? I think it is. Yeah, it feels a little thinner behind the edge. Let's see if we can just tell on the blade stock. Oh, blade stock thickness is a little thinner. I haven't done my research, as you can see, but you can just tell by eye. It's just a touch thinner there on the blade stock thickness. Let's see if I can zoom in on that for you. Hopefully that's noticeable. Handles are the same. Everything else looks very similar, but you got the Demko FreeReign there. AUS 10 in Taiwan versus the Magnacut. And really big difference on the blade finish. This one's got a little bit of a sharper edge, so for those of you that love to, you know, strike a flint, that's probably actually a little better. This one's a little more blunt, or a little more rounded. That feels a lot nicer in the hand though. Not a lot nicer. This thing's not like super sharp or anything like that. It's not bad. Cool. Really cool. Gosh, a Magnacut 5-inch. It's 5-inch, right? Let me double check. It's been a few months since I really dabbled in my, yeah, 5-inch Magnacut with the total length here. 9.75, a little more maybe. And this fantastic Demko holster, sheath, sorry. Spent a little time in firearms. The one thing that some people complain about on the Demko sheath is it's very hard to get it out. The good news is it's not going anywhere. I have no fear of doing that over my knife, but it does take a little pop. This one feels like it's a little smoother than my AUS 10A ones actually. These were even a little harder to get out. It's pretty much the same. Maybe a little though. It's pretty similar. So it's a little tough to get these out one-handed. You can see it's possible. Like I'm not holding it, no tricks up my sleeve here. It is possible to get it out one-handed, but it takes some serious effort and kind of a long thumb. Like if you didn't have a long thumb, you'd be kind of trying to use the tip of your thumb. So it's definitely not going to be one-handed for someone with a really small hand. I guess you could choke up and grab it really hard with 3 fingers and then get it out, but it's something to note. Probably the one thing that, you know, might not be for everyone on these. Oh man, that just feels like a lifer with Magnacut and everything. Now they did these, I saw at 62 Rockwell hardness. I did see some of the announcements from John and Andrew on these, Demko. So 62 Rockwell hardness, which, you know, for the use of this knife makes a lot of sense. Going to, you know, like a 63, 64 Rockwell hardness doesn't make a ton of sense on these knives because you need it to be a little tough, right? You go too hard, you're going to lose some of that toughness as your hardness goes up. So I know that sounded a little funny. Yeah, pretty nice overall. Really appreciate them. They actually got this one out to me pretty quickly. You know, what happens sometimes on these, and I'm always just trying to be really transparent, is because I've done so much content with them, they'll let me just buy it direct from them versus having to buy it from like a knife center or something like that. But I don't get any of them for free, just for transparency. I am buying them. But it's kind of cool to just get to deal with them, and you know, I don't like spend a lot of, I know they're super busy, so I don't waste a lot of their time chatting or anything like that, but just get to, you know, work with them on this and bring it into the channel. And then assuming I like it, I buy it. So that's pretty neat. And I have bought, I think, every knife that they've sent me. I don't think I've ever sent a knife back. So, you know me, I do love my Demkos. That's just sweet. I mean, it just, honestly, like, I'm not like the biggest fan of having a ton of stuff written on the knife, but if I'm gonna have something written on the knife, I do love this. Just big Magnacut, Demko USA. Like, that's freaking cool. That's really contending for one of the top fixed blades in my collection. I don't have a ton. I've, you know, probably 7 or 8 really nice ones. Maybe more now, maybe 10 really nice ones. I was gonna bring this out and compare. This is the Bark River LT, Bravo LT, I should say. And this is also Magnacut, so that'd be kind of cool to bring this guy out and compare. Very nice knife, definitely a extremely high fit and finish kind of knife. And then I have some fixies from Boatwright Blade Works, so I think just does these beautiful handles, and the ergos are really nice on this guy. So I'll just throw that guy down there to compare. Then I got some cheapos that I probably won't bring out. I do have some smaller knives too, but let's move some of this stuff here and make a little room and compare some of these. We'll move the sheaths off. I didn't really get into it because if you've seen my other videos, I've talked about why the sheath is special, but they have 2 separate nylons. There's like a soft type right here in the middle where the knife actually sheaths. And what's important about that is that it won't dull the knife as much when you're taking it in and out of the sheath. That's a problem with a lot of the sheaths. And then he has the hard nylon to make the entire thing rigid on the outside. The other benefit of this design is you can take the screws out if it gets dirt and grit in there. It's a real problem with a lot of sheaths that you can't break down. And then you could clean it out and then put it back together. And that's like a really, really nice, like if you're gonna use your knife a lot, your fixed blade a lot, it's a really nice quality. Now, what would I like to see different? On this knife, nothing really, you know, maybe some handle options. I look again at this Bark River, and man, that's a very nice handle. Now it costs a lot more. This is a, who knows, $340 knife or something like that, versus Demko brought these out at $199, guys. I mean, that's really, really, for a fixed blade, 5-incher, made in the USA, Magnacut, and a brand like Demko, it's probably the best value knife that they've brought out made in the USA so far. It's like very hard to argue with that. It's just that's a very competitive price point, which is, I think, timely with everything that's been going on with, I think, confidence in the economy. I don't think we've seen huge economic issues yet, but the confidence is not as strong right now as it has been for the last few years. So I think that was a really good play by Demko. So I'd like to see maybe some handle options and then just some size options. You can see this guy here is a much smaller knife, you know, more like a 3.5 inch blade length. So it'd be really cool to see some, so like a 3 or 4 inch variants. Maybe it's called the FreeReign Mini or something like that. But I think that would be a really cool option for the lineup. And you know, the thing about these guys is they're like knife lovers and nerds, just like the rest of us. So they've already thought of that. We don't have to even ask them for it. You know, maybe if they hear it enough, it encourages them to do it a little more. But I've heard them talk about that multiple times. Whatever you've thought of, we've thought of it, and we're going to do it. It's just a matter of when. These guys love making cool knives. They love knives. And like, that's one of the neat things about this brand is it's a knife brand made by guys that love knives, that love, you know, Andrew's a big tomahawk collector. So it's a neat brand owned by some neat guys in Wampum, Pennsylvania. And they're working on, you know, we're thinking through whatever it is that we're already thinking of. So thickness wise on the handle versus the Bravo LT, a little thinner, probably about similar to where it's concaved in here, but a little thinner at the thickest points than this guy. Blade stock thickness, pretty similar, a little thicker though. Probably a 10 or 20% increase in blade stock thickness versus the Bravo LT there. A big difference in that it has a micro bevel. So let's maybe zoom in on that because Demko does really nice edges on their knives, and it's worth noting. One of the cool things about this knife is it is a, what's it called, like a Scandi grind. So zero edge more or less, and that is pretty neat, but it's very hard to maintain and sharpen for most people. So I love this micro bevel. It just feels very user friendly in terms of maintenance. Let me grab a piece of paper. Now this is a thick knife, right? We're talking, I don't know, 1 point, that looks like it's right up there with like a an 80/20, so it's probably like 1.7 or so behind blade stock thickness. But I'm just confident when I go to do this. These guys just love, and again, it's pretty thick, so I gotta hold this right, but they love putting a nice edge on their knives. Like, that's a thick knife to be able to make that kind of cut. Look at that, that's a push cut with no pull. That's crazy for a knife that thick to be able to just, sorry, I kind of did that in the wrong spot. Very impressive on the edge there, as I've come to expect out of the USA-made Demkos, and honestly out of their Taiwan as well. They put a freaking killer edge on their knives across the board. So what don't I like? I mean, if you're not the biggest OD green fan, I think that's the only color available yet. I have seen they bring out, you know, one introductory knife and then they start to bring out variants. So I expect that'll probably change. Maybe they'll do a black handle or something like that. We'll see. But if you're not a big OD green fan, then you're kind of up shit creek, or not up shit creek, but you're shit out of luck right now, because that's all that's available. You know, maybe you could dye that or something, but I wouldn't recommend it. It is like a rubberized handle. Man, it feels so natural in my hand. I don't know about everyone's hand size, but that thing is just, bam, just ready to grip and feel comfortable and work for hours. I feel like that thing is a great handle. I love it on these other ones as well. This is the knife that I sent to my coworker that goes on, you know, 4 or 5 day backpacking trips, deer hunting. It's like, you got to have one of these, just something dependable. It's not going to, you could do whatever you need with it, right? It's light enough that it's something you could, you know, travel with and hike with, and it's not super light, don't get me wrong. You're not going to win a marathon with that on your hip, but light enough, but then also thick enough you could probably baton with it and do all that fun stuff. So I haven't done it, so I'm not going to say you can, but looking at it, understanding what it requires, I'm going to assume that that's probably not going to be a problem for these knives. I think that's about it. Just a big Demko nerd, as you know, so more to love from the lineup. So excited that this brand has succeeded, and I'd say beyond succeeded. Continue to just innovate and do cool things, and it's just another awesome one in their lineup. The last thing I'll do is just pull out an 80/20 and kind of give a quick size comparison here. So for those of you that have an 80/20, you can kind of see the handle shape and stuff is very similar. Very similar to the 80/20, and then the 80/20 is what, like a 3.6-inch blade. So talking about obviously less blade, or a lot more blade length on the FreeReign there, but a very similar handle size overall. Maybe a touch shorter, if anything. If I really go 1-to-1, I think maybe with the full tang there, it's pretty similar. So whew, yeah, really nice. Really excited for it. And for anyone that's looking for this, I'm not telling you if you're right now carrying a Benchmade bug out to go buy this as your alternative for your everyday carry knife. Don't get me wrong. But for someone looking for this knife, for what it is, made in the USA, $199 Magnacut, boy, that's something we haven't really seen from Demko so far. So I'm thankful to see this, and very excited. I could have seen this coming out in the $300 price range, frankly. And not a lot of people would have been overly concerned. Maybe you would have gotten some criticism about the rubberized handle at that price versus, some of these fancier micarta handles and, G10 and all the cool stuff that, a company like a Bark River's doing. But given that these were, what, 150 made in Taiwan, I think this is a killer alternative made in the USA in Magnacut. So that's all for now. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you on the next one. Take care.